everybody. We are back with another episode of Black Girl Mental Highlights. So, on today's episode, we have Leslie Jordan Garcia. Leslie is a body image and eating disorder coach. She is a conference presenter and a wellness advocate. Leslie, how are you doing on this afternoon?
I'm doing great. And thank you so much, Morgan, for allowing me this opportunity just to talk about how important mental health is to Black women and share what I do.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get into it. So tell me, what was the educational path that brought you to what you do today?
Ooh, so, I have a BS in political science. So I've always been kind of like a policy nerd. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it other than fix policy. Like I wasn't looking to be a politician per se, but I really wanted to get behind the scenes. And then I found out that that makes no money. So then I went to grad school and I decided to pursue an MBA and focus in diverse leadership. So that's what my master's of business is focused in. But right about that time, I started receiving therapy and treatment for my own eating disorder. And so I added a second master. So I have a dual master's of MBA and a master's of public health. And so that really changed the trajectory of my career. And I've been in and out. I was a teacher because, of course, my job, which was originally diabetes education, was grant funded. And I worked for there for a couple of years before that grant dried up. So I went to teach and realized the overlap that I saw in myself with my own disordered eating that is common among individuals living with diabetes as a way to manage their meds and blood sugars. And then in my fourth and fifth grade students, all were having some of the same issues, thought processes, and that really encouraged me to figure out a way to get back to public health and well-being. So
Wow, wow, wow. Okay. And so today, right, you do coaching, right? You're also a fitness instructor. You're a group fitness instructor.
I
So
am.
yeah, so tell me, right? Like, so you yourself, you've been through the ringer, right? In terms of your own
Oh,
eating disorder, you were able to see just the patterns, right? That some of these
yes.
same signs and symptoms were showing up in other people. How did you connect that into what you do today in your
So,
career?
well, it's funny because as a person in eating disorder recovery myself, sometimes that saying you can't see the forest for the trees, right? I was really deeply struggling and couldn't quite get to the bottom of it in traditional treatment. And it wasn't until I started working with people in the community health and diabetes education that I really started to connect um, systems of oppression with a lot of the issues that I was seeing among my clients, things that I had experienced myself, things that I recognize as issues with my family and other people and Black people and other people of color, that those are some commonalities that are out of our control, but we get heavy messaging that they're well within our control. Oh no, you want to be smaller, you just need more willpower. Or you want to be smaller, you need to eat less and move more. But those types of statements which prop up white body supremacy culture don't address systemic oppression. Like it's not just about me having willpower, which is a personality trait, if you will, of white supremacy culture. It's also about me having access to fresh foods that are affordable. It's about me having access to safe roads to ride my bike or walk safely in parks. All that is about systems of oppression. It's about what grocery stores are allowed to be in certain neighborhoods and what they're selling at what price point. That's redlining. All that's based out of systems of oppression. That has nothing to do with the individual, but the individual is trained through our society to bear all of the burden or onus of the issues when they are in fact systemic issues that have a social justice lens. And so through my education, I started to piece that together. And when I did, I was like, oh, okay. So it's not just me, it's these societal messages that we get. And I really started looking at that. And after I left teaching, I went into leadership, nonprofit leadership for the YMCA. So really looking at some of those systems around healthy living and how that's taught, how all these systems come together. And that is really what kind of segued me into this work, because so much of work about wellness, and I use that with quotes because it's wellness has been co-opted and it's just an arm of capitalism now, but total well-being is holistic. And it that's where I really want to meet people with at those intersections, because we have so many identities. You're Black, you're a female, you're in a larger body, maybe you have this disease or illness, or you have you have all these other hats that you're wearing, and each hat, if it's a marginalized identity, exponentially creates more pressure and more marginalization for you. So how do you get help within a system that's not built to help you, and is not in a lot of ways currently trying to make the moves to actually address some of these systemic issues? And so I wanted to be one small cog in that big wheel that Black women especially knew that they could come to me and have their experiences with food validated, have their experiences or feelings about their body image validated, have a movement practice that is centered on joy and pleasure, something that we so deeply restrict as Black women, because we are trained that, oh, just, strong Black woman, don't worry about that. You need to focus this, carry this burden. So we restrict pleasure and joy and rest. So I really wanted to be a voice in this space so that I could say, get your rest, my good sister, or take care of your body in a way that feels natural and affirming to you. And that can look different than what we have traditionally been told.
Absolutely. 127%. Yes. Every single thing that you said. You do just such a really, really thorough job of just contextualizing care, right? Like that is such a missing piece when we think about wellness, when we think about providing services, is that because we're people, right? We're kind of locked in this time bound in this place. We're locked in these contexts, and locked not necessarily, of course, in necessarily an entrapping sense. Of course, I think there definitely are aspects of this that can feel really trapping, and
Yes.
objectively are pretty trapping. But the ability, right, to even in that, right, even in the capitalism, the white supremacy, the diet, the healthism, the diet culture, right, that there are still options, right, that those are not things that need to crush us. And I think that, yeah, just what you're about at your core, I think really speaks to all of that. So that was really, really refreshing to hear. And so you are based in Austin, Texas. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you currently have your Eat Free, Live Fierce podcast with new episodes every Thursday. So what was the story behind the podcast?
Me and this podcast, I started last year, and everyone was having a podcast, right? And as a new full-time entrepreneur, right, not having to figure out a way to get my voice heard and get above the noise, I was like, oh yeah, podcast, and I'm gonna monetize it, and I'm gonna do this streaming income. And I quickly found out that I did not want to work that hard. Oh my gosh, it is so noisy in that way for monetization. So I took a break from it and did some soul searching, and I realized what I wanted to do was not going to make me any money, but it was going to add to my joy, and that was worth it for me. And so what I wanted to do was share voices of other professionals who are attacking these system inequities through a social justice lens. I really wanted to highlight that work and elevate those voices, and so that people would know that there are people like us out there in a variety of fields and ways and working with people. And then I also wanted to highlight those stories of triumph and transformation. Everyday people, they don't work in eating disorder recovery. They are journalists, techs, they're your librarians, they're single moms, they're single dads, they're stay-at-home parents. They're just everyday people who have managed to figure out what surviving and thriving from within systems of oppression looks like for them. I really wanted to share those stories of championing taking care of yourself because you're worth it. So that's kind of what I've done in this reiteration of it. And I think that being able to eat free, it means so much, and it means something different to everybody. It means being able to eat the things that you enjoy, that satisfy you, mind, body, and soul. It without the trappings of diet culture and the belief in being able to embrace our cultural foods, like all of that, you were able to eat free. And because you have liberated yourself in that way, you were able to live fierce. You were able to do the things that you want to do. And fierce to me means you are fighting, you are standing up against these systems of oppression. And as a way to resist them, you are saying, nope, I will find my joy anyway. I'm going to live completely, wholly, authentically, despite of what these systems hope to accomplish with this one body or my family. So that was why I kept the name, because it has morphed into that larger picture meaning for me and for the people that I hope to inspire with that little podcast.
Yeah, yeah, wow. That's really beautiful. Thank you for explaining the name, the name behind that and why you chose that, and just that fighting spirit that represents. And this is the last question that I'll ask you, because our time together is unfortunately coming to a close because I have the free Zoom. So, that's gonna kick us off. But the question, really is, what are some words that you would say, right, to maybe a past version of yourself, right? A little girl who's struggling, right? Parents are doing the best that they can with what they knew, um, but they're struggling, right? What is one thing that you would tell to a little girl out there, or even a not so little girl out there who's struggling with some similar things that you struggled with?
I think first I would let her know that what she's feeling is valid. Like, it doesn't matter if no one she knows understands. How she's feeling is valid, because she's valid, she's valuable, and her experience is also valuable. So I think as Black women, we hear a lot about not being sick enough to take care of ourselves, or if I stop for myself, these other people are depending on me. And of course, it's become cliche, but it's still very true. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So you do have to put your mask on first. You do have to take care of yourself. The other thing I'd want her to know is that her worth cannot be measured by a dress size or a number on a scale. Um, it's immeasurable. And simply because she is here, simply because she exists. She doesn't have to validate or prove or earn her worthiness. She's worthy because she's here. And whatever her struggles is, lastly, she does not have to go through it alone.
Mm.
That is something that I think we feel like we have to prove how resilient or strong we are, but we are stronger together. And no matter what the journey is, no matter what the problem is or the challenges are, she doesn't have to go them alone. So I think that's more than what she needs to know. She's worthy, she's valid, her concerns, her challenges are valid, and she doesn't have to figure it all out by herself.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. And that is a powerful and poignant way to end. Thank you so, so much, Leslie, for your work, for your time, for your transformation in the way that you help to transform others. So a couple things before we end. So not only is that Eat Free, Live Fierce podcast, new episodes of that are coming out every Thursday, right? But also you have a guided healing journal that's going to be coming out at the end of November. So to keep up with Leslie, please follow her on Instagram at eatfree.livefierce and check out her website that's going to be in the description link in the bio below, in the description box below. So thank you all so much. Thank you for watching another episode of Black Girl Mental Highlights, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Take care.